Alright, so here we are on the front page of the ScriptureTyper app. The Pro features we'll get into here in just a second. When you first come into the app, this is the screen that you'll see, statistics, the groups that you're in, the review, which at this point none of them are due. You can see the schedule of all the verses that you have memorized, and over on the right hand side of the screen you'll see the amount of time between now and when they are due. And then if you go back to the home screen, you can see all of the verses that you have in your collections. Now, as a default, you don't have anything in your collections. What you can do if you want to start from scratch, you can hit this plus sign down here on the bottom right from the My Verses tab, and it pulls out a menu. You can add an entire chapter all at one time. You can do a new verse collection, which you can then fill with verses, or you can just do a new verse. And if you don't specify a category for a verse, we'll go back to the previous screen here. You'll see that I have created collections and then populated those collections with verses. If it's uncategorized, like you'll see here, this uncategorized collection, that's where the verses will go if you don't specify a collection for them to be in. So another alternative, which we'll get into in just a second, is the My Groups, which you can join a group and then take advantage of the collections in that group and just add them to your own set of verses. But we'll go back to the My Verses here, and we'll add a couple of verses just so you can see what it looks like. And we'll go in here and add a new verse, and you select the book that you want. Let's do Genesis 1:1. Just typing in here using the standard controls. We'll do verses 1 through, let's say, 5. You designate the version you want, and then you can categorize them wherever you want them to be, or just leave them uncategorized if you so choose. And then you tap the Import Verse Text button, and it will ask you, do you want to import these as 5 individual verses for easy review, or as a single block, verses 1 to 5. Let's do no for this time, just so you can see here. And it goes through verses 1 to 5 in a single block. But if you click Import Verse Text and you say yes, then it would break them down, and each verse would be its own imported piece of the collection. So then you click Save when you're done with that, and it will add it to whatever collection you designated for it. Now, on the individual verses themselves, let's take these are the regen core verses. Let's take this verse right here, 7:18. The Pro features are down here on the screen below the 1, 2, 3. The voice recording, you can play it back. You can do a screen recording if you wanted to do that. And I believe the flashcards are also a Pro feature, but you don't have to do any of the Pro features to get access to all of the memorization here. And the way the app works, very simply, is a 3-step process for memorizing. When you're just getting familiar with the verse, you're going to be on the first option here, and it will show you the entire verse. And the way that it works, and why it's called ScriptureTyper, is you're literally just typing out the verse. By default, the app is set up to have you type the first letter of each word, but you can also change the settings to type out every letter of every word. I find that the first letter of each word is a lot easier. It makes the memorizing process a lot faster, because your brain is automatically going to know the words just by default once you get into the habit of having to type the first letter. If you want to type every letter of every word, that's totally up to you. But you'll notice when I start with 4, I'm just going to hit F here on the keyboard, and you'll see that the entire verse starts going in and out of visibility. And the idea is that you simply type the first letter of each word, and you'll do this a few times until you really get comfortable with it. And let me just go through this real quick here. For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh, for I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. And then for the address, you would simply put R for Romans, and then type out the individual numbers, 7:18. And you see there, 100% accuracy. And you hit the arrow key if you want to move to the phase 2 for this verse, or the little circle icon if you want to repeat it and do it over again. Phase 2 is a little bit different because it moves these words out and they will not phase in and out anymore. It expects you to basically fill in the gaps. So we'll do this again. For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh, for I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. Romans 7:18. And then you'll see it should, and you're done. I don't know why. It should be jumping over to the third step. Let's see here. For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh, for I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. Romans 7:18. There we go. Okay. So that's step 2, and you'll see that the points came through there. And when you go to step 3 now, it's going to be a blank screen because the expectation is by this point you have memorized it. By the way, if you'll notice down there at the bottom where it says Review Weekly, this is the review frequency. And one of the cool things about the app is as you get better with a verse, you'll start out with Review Daily, but as you get better with the verse, it will move your review frequency down until it gets to Review Weekly. Now, Review Weekly is as far as it will go with the automatic extension of review timeline, but you can manually adjust it to be more than once a week. So the third screen, we'll go ahead and click the arrow here and go over to master it, and you'll notice it's a blank screen. And the expectation is that you will simply, let's see, we'll go here, Romans 7:18. For I know that nothing good dwells in me. I will say one thing. The keyboard is somewhat generous because if you accidentally fat finger a letter and you hit the letter next to it on the keyboard, generally speaking, it'll give you credit if you're right next to the letter that you should have typed. Well, let's say, for instance, you mistype a letter, where I should say T for the word that, but let's say I'd say O. Well, in that case, the letter the word that I should say is going to be in red, and it's going to go down as a missed word. So that dwells me, that is, in my flesh, for I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. Romans 7:18. You'll notice there I did not get 100% accuracy, and so I didn't get any bonus points. And it will suggest that I go back through there, and you'll notice on the review that missed word has a red box around it to let you know which word you missed last time, so you can focus on that. So that's the basics of how the app works. You don't have to have the Pro feature to make good use of the app. Like I said, the Pro features are the microphone, the playback, the screen recording, and I believe the flashcards are also a Pro feature. But everything else, steps 1, 2, and 3, the groups, most of the functionality is completely free. So I hope that's helpful, and definitely suggest that you take full advantage of ScriptureTyper App. It's been a huge help for me, and I'm excited to join with you guys and take it from here. So make it a great day. Talk to you later.